Tonight's meeting is being broadcast by Milford TV. There are members of the media in attendance. If anybody would like a copy of tonight's meeting, please let us know. The first agenda item on the agenda tonight is the reorganization of the school committee. I would like to take the opportunity to make a nomination. I would like to nominate Joe Marias as the next chairman of the Milford School Committee. I've come to know Joe over the last 6 or 7 years. Not only call him a good friend, I think he's a good leader. He's shown as the vice chairman that he has the qualifications to do the job. He wants to do the job. And so I would like to nominate Joe Marias as the next chairman of the Milford School Committee. Is there any discussion? Could I have a second, please? Second by Jim Legore. All in favor to make Joe Marias the next chairman of the Milford School Committee? Unanimous. Joe?
Thank you very much. Thanks for your support and vote of confidence. I really appreciate that. The next order of business is the election of the vice chairperson. Do I have a nomination for vice chair? Jen?
So you're officially the chairperson now?
I am.
Okay, so we moved it over. So the other Joe Calery, and I started on the school committee together 3 years ago. And I know that both of us, not to speak for you, but I know we both feel honored and thankful to the voters for our re-election this past Tuesday night. Recently, Joe shared some thoughts with me about his interest in taking on a leadership position. I had also wondered about that, but also knowing that I have a lot of professional responsibilities of my own, I feel that at this point I would better serve this committee in the role that I'm currently in. And I also think it's important when people want to develop as leaders that they have that opportunity, which Joe has expressed. So with that, I would like to nominate Joe Calery for the vice chair position.
All right. Do I have a second?
I'll second that, Joe.
Second. From John. All in favor?
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Welcome, Joe.
Thank you, guys.
All right. The next order of business is the election of the secretary. I'm going to nominate Kevin McIntyre unless anyone opposes. Do I have a second? All in favor? All right. So
Once
Kevin
again,
C.
I was shooting for
secretary.
that one.
Our next order of business is approval of minutes. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? Do I have a motion for approval? Motion from Jim, seconded from Jen. All in favor? And next order of business is the announcements, correspondence, and distributions. Do any members have any announcements?
This week.
So, do you have anything?
No, good.
No? Yeah, so just one very, actually, Jim.
I'm
why
sorry,
don't you-
I wanted to just recognize the Girl Rising movie last night. It was excellent. I had a chance to view most of it because I had some other commitments. But Kevin was there, Joe was there, and I can't say, and I was truly very impressed, and it was a very eye-opening movie, and it was inspiring at the same time. So I want to congratulate the Cultural Council for bringing that forward. It was certainly something that everybody should have an opportunity to see. Thank you.
That's great. And I just have one item. Kevin, Craig, Matt, and I had an opportunity to attend the Blackstone Valley Educational Forum earlier today, and it was a great forum. They had a number of speakers. Lieutenant Governor Polito was there, as was Mark McCullough from Waters. And what stood out in the conversation and from the panel discussion is that we're certainly heading in the right direction with what we're doing here with the hospitality and management program, with the banking program, with several internships that we have to offer. So that message resonated today. That more and more employers are looking for students to have certain basic requirements, and that from the student perspective, having that hands-on experience really goes a long way. So I'm excited to see what direction we continue to move in going forward, but really good to hear some of that feedback today. All right, next item is invitation to speak. Do we have anyone here to speak? Not today. And then the next agenda item is the recognition of Milford High School student athletes. So I don't know, Peter, if you want to come up and kick that off.
First of all, thanks for having us. These are my favorite meetings. You get a chance to talk about the great things the kids and coaches are doing. I'll take direction from you folks. We have record breakers. We have state champions. Which do you want first? well, it's a tough choice, but
I'll leave that up to the coach.
we'll do that up however you want. We have 2 state champs in the room. We have we have 3 Hawk champs in the room. We have a number of record breakers over here with track and field. So, you want to do the 2 state champions first, or?
Go for
Sure.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
absolutely.
bring the 2 guys up.
Yeah.
Come on up. Sure, I'm letting the coaches come up. 'Cause So we're very fortunate in Milford anyway, but we are super fortunate to have these 2 guys. I've been lucky enough to know them for 3 years, in multiple situations. They both, are active in all sorts of things, but when they're in their element, when this guy's in the pool, when this guy's on the mat, you don't want to be, going against them. I'll let Coach Chappie talk about Nick and some of the things that he's doing, but they're both going to be moving on to college and competing, and they're the cream of the crop. So, you want to chat a little bit about Nick, and I'll jump in with Ryan here. Coach Basha is a teacher in the system. You guys, I know you all know that, but for the folks at home, and he's got parent-teacher conferences tonight. So, Ryan, we'll handle that. We'll take care of it.
Nick swam for 4 years. It was like a dream come true. You probably all remember our last guy, Kevin Bradley. He's graduating from Notre Dame. We're replacing him at the collegiate level with Nick, who'll be going to Bates. He's a 4-year, 2-time Hockomock League champion, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year he won two individual championships. Set the school breaststroke record. During that time, I don't know how long, it's been a while since he swam. Competed at the sectional and state championship level for all 4 seasons, medaled all 4 seasons, and the drive for a state championship ended this year with the 200 individual medley at Boston University. Spectacular swim, led it from wire to wire, as they say in the racing world. Little anecdote, 2 kids from Westboro who had one of the kids that was seated in the top 3. I could hear them talking behind me. He said, no one's touching Antonellis today, and no one did. He went out in the first 25, took the lead and never relinquished it. Be going on to Bates College, where he'll have a great swimming career, I'm sure, studying pre-med. So he'll be there. He's got a lot on the ball. He's a former winner of the VFW oratory contest a year ago for his oratory on patriotism. If anyone didn't get a chance to read it, ask him and he'll get you a copy. It's quite a thing. So
It's a pretty good resume.
Yeah, that's impressive.
He's looked upon by competitors, his teammates, certainly his coaches, his teachers. And the great thing about Nick is the way he can communicate with all those people at their level. Come to me, come to Pete, he can talk to his teammates, and he walks with the masses.
Thanks, chap.
You're welcome.
You want to jump to Ryan, or you want to chat
Yeah,
about
we can
Nick?
jump to Ryan and then we
Go
can
ahead,
chat.
jump to
Yeah,
Ryan.
absolutely. So, having been around both these guys, I'll try to represent Coach Basha for Ryan. I will.
A few inches.
Well, you gain a little bit of weight, but maybe not. I don't know. You both could still crush me on the mat, even at my age. So, both of these guys, and I'm kind of speaking about both, for most of this, incredible leaders. I've seen great captains in my 30 years of doing this, and, when he comes onto the mat, kids listen, kids want to follow. When he's out at the pool deck, kids watch them to see how they behave and to learn how to compete and be calm and cool and collected, but also be super competitive. And it's one of the reasons that these programs win, and we'll chat about these kids and these coaches, and certainly he's the reason why we win. This guy's been here for a long time and just knows how to produce champions. But you have to have the DNA, and I think you have to have certainly the desire. I think it's the reason, this guy gets up probably 200 days a year and swims before school and drives all around New England, same thing with him. He's wrestling all year long, even when he's playing football. That's legal, by the way, for those that are watching at home. You can wrestle at night after you finish your football practice, et cetera, et cetera. So, for Ryan, he's very similar. Hawk champion, sectional champion, Division II state champion, which is all of those are unbelievable. Then makes it all the way to New England's. He's also 2 years on the MIA Student Advisory Council. That doesn't happen. That's less than 1% of the kids that are chosen that get to be on that council for 2 years. And I should mention with Nick, sectionals were snowed out. So he didn't have a chance to compete the week before that he actually had to swim for the state. Even more difficult because some of the other divisions did. So, what these guys do is incredibly just unbelievable, to be honest with you. But one of the things that I really thought was important about Ryan was in all my years, I've never been able to witness or see a guy win 100 matches. And in his career, he made that 100th win at home against Stoughton. I'm being honest with you, I felt terrible for that kid because he was a really good wrestler. He had no chance. Everybody in the gym knew it. He knew it. Was it 12 seconds? I forget.
I think it was at least 20.
It was? All right, well,
At least 20.
it wasn't long.
I almost
And the poor
40.
kid just got overwhelmed. He stuck him, he pinned him, and everything that he's brought to the table. But I don't know if you want to add anything else, but I think what impresses me about these two, and it's all of our folks that rise to the top, is the work ethic. At the high school level, you can have average DNA. It's like the Larry Bird syndrome. That's the way I look at it. If you work super, super hard, you can rise to the top. And these two definitely have DNA, but their drive. I mean, you watch this kid go on the blocks. You watch this kid go out to, I love to compete, but I'd probably pass if I was 20 years younger. I don't know if I'd want to go up against either one of them. So, and I like to compete, but these two were some of the best I've ever seen. And you've committed to Springfield?
Yeah, pretty
Okay,
much.
he didn't want to go to Bridgewater where I was from, but we got Springfield fans back here, obviously, but
Springfield's in the house.
Springfield and Bridgewater have a good rivalry, so I will cheer for him while he's there, though. So, no, these two, they put us on the map, they keep us on the map, and probably the best thing I can say is they're great leaders and they're great ambassadors for Milford High School and Milford High School athletics, and they've just been a joy to be around. It's going to be hard to replace them. We'll figure out a way, but it'll be difficult, trust me.
Right. Thanks,
Great
Peter.
guys.
Thank you.
We want to give. I just want to give Ryan and Nick a chance to speak too. I guess we'll start with you, Nicholas. Any thoughts or words?
Well, I really need to commend my friend Ryan over here. I mean, I just go up and down the pool, but I mean, he's like, I remember when I wrestled when I was little, you got to figure out what you're doing right at that moment. So, I mean, I'd play him in chess, but I'm sure he'd beat me because he's just got that strategic mind. And I mean, 100 pins is really something special. And I remember when we went to Boys State and Ryan ran for Secretary of State and he won, he just said he was 110% for the guys. And, he puts that effort into everything he does. So, I mean, really, for Ryan, he's a great guy. I know when he gets up on the mat to do what he has to do, he does it for a reason.
Great. And Ryan?
Yeah, thanks for having me tonight. Same thing to Nick. Like, it's nice having that little state champ thing going on. But somebody else whose name's going up on the board above the gym besides mine, that's something that's going to be really cool for our class to have. And hopefully some of the spring sports might be able to have a state champs as well. But I know how hard Nick goes. I hear him talk about morning swimming, and that's not something easy to do, to wake yourself up every day and get in the pool. So I think a lot of respect. But that's about it.
That's great. That's great. I'll open up to the committee. Any questions? Or Joey?
Congratulations to you both. We haven't had kids come here in the last couple meetings. We've been busy and stuff, but I love when you guys come here. It's amazing, and the things that you guys do every day. I don't know how you guys do it, and then still get good grades and do everything that you get. You guys take your sport to the next level every time, and I congratulate you both. Good job.
Thank you. Jim?
Yeah, I just want to say that one of the things that I find truly unique about the both of you is that when asked to talk about yourselves, you decided to talk about each other. I think that's a testament to your character and what makes you leaders, both on and off in and out of the pool or the mat. And Ryan, Nick, I know Ryan a little better, and I've got a lot of respect for the Best Buddies work that you do as well. I don't know if everybody knows that, so congratulations to you both.
Anyone else? Jen?
I just wanted to echo what you said, Jim. I think this is one of the only times I feel myself getting teary-eyed listening to athletes talk, and it's really because of the way I'm picturing my own 11-year-old son, and I'm looking at both of you thinking if he could turn into, I don't care if he's the best athlete or the best student, but you want your kids to be a good person, and you both demonstrated that in so many ways, especially, as Jim said, your performance here tonight. So thank you for representing our school and our town so beautifully and so humbly, too.
Mike?
Nick and Ryan, you know, I've said this for many years that I've sat on the school committee, and I know you'll both be very successful in life because it's not about swimming, it's not about wrestling, it's about drive, it's about commitment, and there's no doubt in my mind. I always say, you know, coach isn't, he's teaching you how to swim, but he's really teaching you, both of you, the game of life. You know, you're going to get knocked down, the odds are going to be against you, but you got to come back. You got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and come back. So great job to the two of you. I commend you both. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think everything's been said at this point. You know, we're really proud of everything that both of you have done, not just in the pool or on the mat or on the field, but in the classroom, the volunteer work that both of you do. You're great role models for the younger students in Milford. And I hear it. I hear the young kids talking about, the young wrestlers talking about Ryan, the young football players talking about Ryan, the swimmers at swim meets talking about you and the records that you set. Like, whether you know it or not, you're leaving an impression on these kids, and you know they want to follow in your footsteps. So we appreciate everything you've done, and you know, good luck to you in the future and at college.
We do gifts for
Oh, we got some gifts. That's right. You're gonna need them tonight too. Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you. Congratulations.
I will add that I have two little guys at home. One's a swimmer, one's a wrestler. This is all they talk about is I just want to be him. So you were absolutely correct, Mr. Rice. That's exactly. And the fact that they have that impact on the younger guys is really, you know, that's kind of really the pinnacle of where you want to be if the young folks want to emulate and be those kids that are graduating and our best athletes and our best academics. And we're in a good place. It's a good place to be. We have a lot of people here next. So you know what I'll do? Why don't we bring the coaches up? And then we'll help introduce. They're coming from different workplaces and whatnot, so and you'll recognize one of them because she's a graduate that went on to URI. So this is Coach Derek Rose. He's a teacher at Stacy Middle. He's our head coach right now. Glenn O'Connor has joined us in his second year. He works for the New England Revolution. And Michelle Savoy has just jumped on board this year. This is her second season. She helped us on an indoor and outdoor, but she did run here, did compete here, and went on to URI for 4 years, helped me out, yep, and crushed at the Division I level. So she's a great role model too. So with these three in indoor and adding some of the coaches that we have in the spring, we feel like we have, you know, like a lot of the other sports, we feel like we have some of the best coaches easily in the league, but certainly around Massachusetts and New England. So, you know, with them, we've been able to really crank it up in certain sports and just keep things moving forward. I think probably the best thing to do is sort of encapsulate what happened this winter, because I've never seen anything like it, even with my background, having all these records. So 12 records were broken. I'm sorry, 9 different times, because a couple of records were broken 2 or 3 times. They were moving kids around. So maybe if you're here, just come on up at this point. You know, we'll talk a little bit. So Chris Sishu runs the 600 meter. He broke that record. He's going to Holy Cross to run for them next year. Joey Madden's here. He's a sophomore. He broke the 1,000 meter record. Help me out, Coach.
Joey actually won the fastest 1,000 meter of any sophomore in the entire state.
Wow.
Pretty cool. We'll take that.
Nice job, Joey.
Thank you.
I don't think Jack could make it tonight, but Jack broke the 1 mile and 2 mile, right, as a junior.
Yep.
He's being heavily recruited right now by D1 and D2. KT Kevin Truong is here, long jump record. We'll see just strictly a jumper and indoor. 20 feet, 10.5 inches. That's a significant jump.
Wow.
That's about. So when I was down in South Carolina with the 2 guys last year, the jumps were 21, 22 feet. So he's he's 2 inches shy of being at the national caliber level, so
Wow.
we feel pretty good about that. Shuttle hurdles, we had Cam I.M. Clark over here, Zach Brown, who's at volleyball practice.
Neil can make it, Anthony's at an eye doctor appointment. Mom won't let him come.
Probably can't see.
Nice.
He's not late or something. Good kid though, good kid. So the 4x4 relay was broken a couple times. Cam was part of that. Joe Madden was part of that. Chris Sishu was part of that. Jack couldn't make it tonight. Captain Jared Luce was unavailable tonight as well. They broke that 2 or 3 times,
Yeah, I think it was 3 times actually.
which is unheard of. The sprint medley was broken at least once, if not twice.
It was-
Again, Joe Madden, Chris Sishu, Cam Clark, Jack Kelly. You get this group, this nucleus of really powerful runners and competitors. Distance medley, the names won't shock you. Joe Madden, Chris Sishu, Jared Luce, Jack Khalil. So that's sort of on the boys' side. These guys were out there just really, really representing in the Hockomock League and for Milford. For the girls, Spelly's here. Christina, come on up. Sorry, they all get nicknames. It's just the way it works. So, because Christina Speliakis did something really incredible. They're all incredible, but to win the Hockomock League, to win an event out of the 12 schools, and there was 600 boys competing, 600 girls competing this year, and for her to get first place in the Hockomock League, we feel is pretty darn impressive. Broke the school record. She went on to the Hawk meet, the divisional meet, made it all the way to the All-State meet, which is pretty much the creme de la creme as well. So we're super excited. She's a junior, so she's got another year of crushing it, as we'd like to say. So did a real nice job with that. Ladies, come on over. We'll throw you into the mix here. We also had 2 relays over this year. So we have Christina Capone, Christina Speliakis. They were on the 4x4. Elena Del Russo was part of that team. Did I capture everybody?
Yeah, on that 4x4.
Yeah,
And
yep,
they're
yep.
also on the sprint medley.
Sprint medley, Christina Capone, again, Elena, raise your hands, guys, just to let them know you're here. Christina, again, Speliakos, and then Gabriella was on that sprint medley team. She ran the 800, broke the school record, just this year once, right?
Yeah, just once. We only ran it once, but they broke it by 18 seconds.
That's significant. That's like breaking 18 seconds in a mile. So, again, just a great core of gals and guys, just really sort of resurrecting track and field back to what Michelle was used to when she was competing. So, we're very fortunate to have these competitors, these coaches. We feel like we have some of the best coaches, in New England, and we're lucky to have these kids following their directions. So,
Good.
there you have it.
That's awesome.
All right, I'll open up to the committee again. Any questions?
Congratulations to all of you. I mean, that's unheard of, really. I mean,
I've
now-
never seen anything like it.
are all those records state records or?
Those are school records. Yep, yeah, just.
Congratulations
from
to
the
all of
entire
you.
history of the
Fantastic.
school.
It's amazing. Good job.
Yeah, just an amazing amount of talent. I mean, just one of the things that makes me so proud is to see that level of talent represented not only in the Hockomock but also at the state level. And I can't say enough about the coaching staff as well. So we're really lucky to have model students, student athletes, and fantastic coaches as well. So looking forward to next year as well.
We are too. We're looking forward to the spring and next year and what our underclassmen are gonna be able to do, and we're ready to rock. We're ready to go tomorrow if anybody out there wants to rock. So we're good. We're ready to shine or whatever. We'll play at midnight, doesn't matter. That's the
Any other-
entire program. That's how we roll now, so.
Any other comments?
Congratulations to all of you.
Yeah, congratulations, great job.
Yeah, great job.
I
And
mean,
it's
it's
exciting that there's so much young talent. And I know that the middle school program's really taking off too. So this is a program that I think is going to be really strong for many years to come. So congratulations.
Great
Want some-
job, guys.
Great job.
Hold on a second, guys. Hold on, hold on.
You guys get one. Yeah, KT, you're still deciding where you're going, Holy Cross, you're thinking.
Congratulations.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Oh, really?
I'll mention that when we get up
Nice
here.
job.
Bragging about you.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
So Cam's gonna be joining Ryan Nesta at Merrimack, and also Jessica Conley. So we're starting to be a pipeline for you, which is nice, right? You don't, haven't decided, it's all right, it's all good. No, and I keep thinking she's a junior. I know.
I love seeing talent come through, man.
Figure that out.
It's fantastic.
Nice job.
Great job. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
buddy.
Thanks, Pete.
You got it.
Thanks for bringing everybody by. I love seeing that.
Thank you guys.
We need to do that more often.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll try and believe me.
Bring them all through. Bring them all.
This many, we'll come every week.
Bring them all through.
All right. Thank you guys.
He sits by himself.
Hey, Rob, you want to come up? And next order of business is facilities and maintenance update.
I'll scan it and I'll send it to you.
How you doing?
How are you?
Not bad.
It's pretty sad going from a bunch of student athletes breaking records to a guy that can't even read.
You're breaking records in other ways, Rob.
Well said.
How we doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. All right, so you guys have a handout in front of you. What we'll go through is pretty much projects that we're looking to accomplish the rest of this school year and throughout the summer before we occupy next school year. We'll hit by school. Stop me if you have any questions. We've been through this before, so. The first piece is just the annual maintenance that we're required to do by code and so forth. I won't go through that. What we'll do is we'll start at the high school and talk about some of the projects, like I said, that we hope to accomplish before we occupy next school year. We're in the process now of collecting bids to do our next phase of auditorium seating upgrades. The both front wings of the auditorium have been completed. Our goal now is to get as much of the front and middle section done as possible. We're also looking to upgrade the stage lighting to LED, working with Jeremy Folster, the head of the AV department. You know, I'll be honest with you, I get out of his way, and when he tells me he has a job that he wants to get done, the kid's legit. He's on top of his game, and I just try to facilitate what he's trying to do. And right now, we're looking to upgrade the stage lighting. All the rigging was upgraded over the summer, and all the curtains were replaced in the auditorium. I think it's important to keep putting money into that space. It's occupied pretty much every weekend here with some type of an event. We have to continue replacing the steel heating lines with copper here. Unfortunately, the building's 45, 46 years old, and we're starting to fail. The heating lines, the steel lines are starting to fail. We've replaced, that should say lower E, we've replaced all the heating lines that were in the slab in lower E. We've had to abandon the pipes in the slab and go with copper overhead. And we came in Monday morning here to a flood in A wing. We lost another line up in upper A. So we replaced that. We're still gonna have to continue cutting out the steel lines and replace them with copper. The entire school, including Shining Star, this summer, actually we're hoping to start prior to the summer, have this building wired with wireless access points so we can continue that one-to-one initiative. We're going to continue to install wall or ceiling mounted interactive projectors in all the classrooms. You'll see that at every school. The goal of the district is to have every classroom fitted with a projector, an interactive projector. We ran into a problem this winter where we have some exposed ductwork on the roof, which feeds the gym and the pool. That ductwork is insulated and wrapped with an EPDM membrane. That's failed on a couple of the ductworks up there, so that's something that we're going to have to. I've got 2 bids now, waiting on a third. Something that we're going to have to address. Hopefully prior to the summer. Since it's roof work, we can, but they will require a crane to get this work done. Problematic, but like I said, 46-year-old building. You're going to have to take our lumps. We'll move on to Memorial if there's no questions on the high school. So we have one more phase of steel heating lines that are below grade to replace. The abatement, the asbestos abatement's already been completed. Once we unoccupy, we'll cut those lines out and fit them in copper. Again, like in all the other schools, we're going to continue to install the interactive projectors in the classrooms. We need to do some carpet upgrades in some classrooms over there. We did complete the interior LED upgrade to all the lighting. As you know, like at home, LEDs the way it is, they're not selling anything but LEDs, so we work with National Grid on some incentives to upgrade our interior lighting, and Memorial was done this past summer. And the school was also cabled for complete coverage for the Wi-Fi, which is nice. Brookside. Brookside, unfortunately, you know, we had a renovation a few years back, but there's a sheet vinyl product that was installed at Brookside that has failed. So what we're doing is we're taking up the sheet vinyl in phases and putting down VCT. Now VCT is the vinyl, the square vinyl tiles that you see. Fortunately, when we built Woodland, we made sure we didn't get any of this vinyl product that failed at Brookside. The complete Woodland school is done in VCT or carpet. The cafeteria and the lobby were done this summer, and we're going to continue doing the hallways. Again, we're going to continue to install the interactive projectors. The positive for Brookside is when we built the school, we futured for this installation, so the power is already in place in the ceilings. We literally just need to buy product, some data cabling, and we can get those interactive projectors in place. And this summer, we're going to try to get that building, or we're going to get that building ready for the one-to-one initiative with complete wireless access points throughout the building. Stacy. Stacy, is Nance in here? Stacy is going to be closed for the summer, again, to the public. There's a lot of work going on at Stacy. We had a lot of work last summer, but it's all positive. So the interior lighting was upgraded over there to LED. The school was completely recabled for wireless access coverage. We're going to continue again with installing the interactive projectors in the classrooms. We were able to take a lot of technology from the old Woodland and redeploy it at Stacy. Worked out great. The elevator needs a complete replacement other than the shaft. And that work was scheduled today to begin the day school gets out, a day after school gets out. Another large project that's taken place over there is all of the interior fire doors and associated hardware need to be replaced. The fire doors have failed, and we've been limping along. We get written up every season by the fire department, and we're to the point now where we had to dump some serious money into them, and that job is going to take place this summer. Another critical piece for Stacy is Stacy's probably the last pneumatic building ever built in Massachusetts back in 1995, so unfortunately we have the task to bring that building up to present-day standards, which is digital controls. We did a phase already, a second phase. We're looking to pick up a number of air handlers. I don't know, those of you who have relatives or friends that teach over there, it's problematic controlling temperatures in that building right now. So we're looking to pick up HV4, HV5, HV9 and 10, and AC 1 and 2. Another large job over there to get Stacy up to speed with the rest of the district is we're going to install a Cisco. We're all on the Cisco platform throughout the district. We want to get Stacy there, so we want to install the Cisco voice over IP phone system this summer as well. Again, auditorium, we need to dump some money into the lighting over there. The lights are problematic. They're having some trouble when they have some when they do their shows. So when I have the contractor out to work up the high school's lighting upgrades, we're going to bring them over there and see what we can do to start phasing that in over there. And then with all this cabling that's taken place over the past year and a half, the classrooms need to be painted. It's going to be done in phases. I'll deal with Nancy on that. My thought is to do a floor at a time and to continue to revolve, year after year and keep going with that. And then we do have IP cameras in place over there. We need to review, Nancy and myself, we have had talks about this, but to do in the next phase, whatever she feels is most critical. East. We're saying bye to East June 30th. Okay? Our task, or my task, is to make sure that that building is empty and broom swept condition is what the town is looking for. What that means to us is we have to determine what's surplus, what isn't surplus, and then how to remove what is considered surplus. I know, Kevin, you sent out a few emails. I've had multiple requests, and already other members of the town come and, the highway department was in there yesterday, took a couple of desks, some file cabinets and so forth. So we're working that up, but again, it's gonna be time sensitive and something that, we all have to keep a handle on. Woodland, new Woodland, I know you've all been through it. Great job. I am real happy with how that job has gone and is going. Grade scale, I'd give it a B+. There's still some work that needs to be done, some site work that needs to be done. We need to complete the new turf field and associated, grounds around that. We have a 30 by 40 storage building proposed to be built on that site. It's in the planning board stage right now. And then lastly, we've been asked to review the installation of solar on that building. So we've sent some CAD files of the roof layout and electrical plans to some companies that are reviewing, putting a proposal together to get solar up there. These companies reviewed every building in the district, and the only building that's viable at all that they even want to put the effort into putting a proposal together on is is Woodland, due to the fact of the age of the other roofs and the makeup of the roofs. So I'll continue to work on that and give feedback to you, Kevin, as to what we find.
Great.
And find out if it's cost effective and, problematic or not problematic.
Open up to the committee. Any questions for Rob?
Rob, I got one question for you. With Stacy, with the interior fire doors, how come we waited so long on those? Was that something we could have done like 2 doors a year or something?
Well, we tried to piecemeal it, I
Yeah.
guess you could say, changing out some hardware and so forth. The problem is the closing mechanisms that they installed in '95, I can't get parts for anymore. There's no parts out there for them. Unfortunately, it was a very complicated mechanism, probably over-engineered, and they stopped making it. So we were able to find parts, around the country from demos and so forth. We're to the point now where we can't get the parts. So trying to keep it local through our local budget and doing, like you say, a door here, a door there, it's not cost effective going forward. So we went to capital, got a proposal funded, and now we're gonna do the whole thing, soup to nuts.
Just curious. Thank you.
Mike?
Rob, there's no doubt in my mind you'll get this whole list done all over the summer. I want to commend you on something a little different. I happened to be the other night at the International Night at the Woodland School, and parking lot was as dark could be. And the following day, I came into a meeting, and Mr. Consigli was there, and I said, geez, I was at the International Night last night. You couldn't even see in the parking lot. It was so black. I said, do we normally turn the lights off at night? I thought we were, doing a cost savings. And Craig picked up his phone, sent out a text message, and when 5 minutes later I had my answer, there was an issue, and you had already started to address it. So I just wanted to commend you for that publicly, that I want people to understand how on top you are of taking care of these school buildings.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people pulling in the same direction. Unfortunately, it always seems like whenever there's an event, we find we have an issue, okay? First time the lights didn't work. The GC on that job has been great. As soon as I understood there was an issue, made some phone calls. They were there by 1:30 that afternoon, and everything's back up.
Yeah. I commend you for that. That's great,
Thanks.
great service, and thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one.
Yeah, Jenny?
Also, I think all the projects are important, every one of them, but I am really pleased to see some of the upgrades to Stacy, especially the painting. I know there were real interior, internal things that have to happen in terms of systems and heating and all of that, but I think just the look, it feels dim when you go in there, and I think just that fresh coat of paint will help people feel
I agree.
more rejuvenated to be in there. My one question about the Cisco phone system, does that connect into the the PA system, and is the PA system in working condition over there?
It is, there is an interface between the Cisco phone system and the PA system. So
Okay.
what our hope is and our goal is to have the same productivity through the phone system that we have in the rest of the district, which means every teacher, every classroom is gonna have their own voicemail. Right now, they don't have that there. They're gonna be able to call from classroom to classroom. They're gonna be able to, when, you know, that up to the administration over there as to when they can call out 911 from every
That's
classroom.
great.
So
Good.
right now, Stacy has the ability to call from classroom to classroom and classroom to the front office.
Mhm.
So yes, our goal is to get it so that each, like I said, and
Mhm.
it will interface with the PA. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's going to be problematic. So my goal is to get, if we have the existing PA operational,
Mhm.
get the voice over IP online,
Mhm.
and maybe, if it goes very smoothly, there'll be, no one will feel the difference. But
Okay.
I won't put the effort into connecting the two if it's not cost effective, is what
Mhm.
I'm saying. So
Okay.
that is one of the issues that we're having over April vacation. The company that we're contracting with is coming out to do another audit of the building, and that's one of the punch list items that we have, is how to
Okay.
connect those two.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mike?
Rob, I'm sorry, one more quick question to jump on what Jen just asked is, if I'm not mistaken, the phone systems in the town have all been switched over to Cisco or are going in that direction, correct?
Correct.
So does that mean that, like at work, we can communicate in between buildings and everything?
4-digit dialing?
Yeah, will they be able to do the same thing? Will somebody at, say, Memorial be able to call
Yes.
John, the building inspector at the town hall, or they'll be locked out?
They'll never be locked out. Right now, the goal for us is to get our buildings all on the same platform, which once Stacy is done, we'll have accomplished that. And like you said, at your buildings, it will be 4-digit dialing throughout the schools. Right now, the town hall and police department and so forth, I don't know what kind of systems they're running. I know that they're not running Cisco.
Oh, I thought they were. I'm
I
sorry.
think the goal is, anytime we're gonna start doing upgrades, is to try to consolidate and get on the same platform. But right now, like I said, my focus and our focus is the schools, and,
Okay.
you know, I can't really speak for what the town has.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Rob? So, Rob, you mentioned Middle School East, and that's going to be surplus June 30th. Do we have a timeline for when we're going to have groups go through there?
We do. We made the offer kind of internally to the school system as well as through Rick Villani to the town departments.
Yeah.
And we'll be reaching out to kind of community organizations. And we may, just depending on what we have, do something similar to what we did at Woodland. We'll have to talk about that as a committee, where we open the building to the public.
Okay. All right, good. And then you mentioned the fire doors earlier. I think we got a town meeting for funding for the elevators and the fire doors. So we have the funding for both of those, and I think one of the reasons why it's been somewhat delayed is because you need the time to be able to do it, right? And the summer's really the only time that you can do some of these projects, especially the elevator project. And
Correct.
we didn't have the opportunity to do that last summer, so we're waiting for this summer, right, to
Right.
get that done.
Yep. So unfortunately, we weren't able to get it done last summer because of the lag on the parts. Now, the positive thing is we have everything is here. So, like I said, I spoke with them today, gave them dates, and they've already started to invoice all the parts and man up, and they're ready to go for the day school gets out. The next day, they're starting that job, and it's going to be tight till when we get back in.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I thought Nancy was she's not gonna like me, so it's gonna be a rough summer.
You going publicly with that?
That's all right. It's all much needed. And I'm glad you're obviously working on the solar projects. That's a big focus for the town
Yep.
right now. So what you said makes a lot of sense. Woodland seems to be the right fit for that, and the other schools we might just have to wait and see. The one thing I wanted to ask about that I didn't see here, and you may have already taken care of it, but the lighting going from the football field to the high school, that path there, are we looking at that at all?
That path is it's on a time clock that's over in the pump house out in the field, and we were given a directive, Parks and myself, to shut those lights off. So whoever's given the directives, they all need to get on the same page, because I get a directive from one to shut it off and a directive from another to turn it on. So right now that the weather's better and people are gonna start using the field and the track, Mike and I will cycle them on, dusk to dawn type of thing, or whatever we come up with.
Yeah.
It's not that they're not operational, we were told to shut them off.
Oh, okay.
So, we're ready to go and turn them on. I mean, in the dead of winter, the neighbors complain because the light with no leaves on the trees, John, you and I have been out there a handful of times reviewing it with them, complaining that that the light's shining in their windows, so we were directed to shut them off.
Okay.
But we will turn them on, they are operational.
So for football, it comes up during football games. It's very dark back there, and that's where the young kids tend to start to congregate.
Pop Warner, you talking?
During the high school football games.
Okay.
Like that path back there, people walking in their cars and stuff. It gets a little
Okay.
treacherous. So if we could maybe there just isn't enough lighting there. Maybe it is on, but it's just not illuminating the whole.
Right. All right, I'll redo that.
Can I just clarify?
Yeah.
Question, so if it's a light on school property, who gives that directive? Is that the school department, or is that still the town parks and rec?
Well, it's the school department would give me the directive, but, I have to work with the town too. I mean, we can't ignore, residents' issues or complaints.
So the major issue was the shining on the residents?
Correct.
Can I just ask a quick question? So I think I know what light you're talking about in the back, where the brook is.
Right.
There's
Right.
three.
Path that
there's-
goes
So
Yeah.
is that shining in someone's window?
I
I'd
don't
find
know.
I'd find that really hard to believe, because are you talking, did you see that light? Are you
Yeah.
talking about the light in the back where the brook is?
I'm not sure which light we're talking about, but Rob and I did a site visit at a residence on, is it Packard Road? I forget off the top of my head. But we met the people at the house at nighttime. And now, while the light wasn't directly shining on their property, just the effect of it being on was bothersome to them. So, I think we went forward and shut them off when they weren't necessary to be on.
We must be talking about a different light, because this one's in the back, in the back where Shining Star is.
Right,
It's
the
that
path
path
right
that
from the
goes to the
football
back
field.
lot where Shining Star's playground is.
That's where the football players
Yeah,
Yeah.
come out,
and
lock
enter
on,
and go
walk to
back.
the field. That path that they take to the
Yeah.
field.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like I
maybe we can take
said,
it off.
the lights are operational. We'll turn them on. That's not a problem. But going forward, right now, there's multiple lights on the track complex. You got I guess I'd call it like the football lights, the highlights,
Yeah.
and then dropping down the pole, you have what they call walking lights. So the walking lights, now that the weather's better and we expect to see people out there walking, will stay on from dusk until 10 p.m. So I don't know if it was a directive or just a consensus that all the lights in the complex are gonna, other than security lights, will be shut off at 10 p.m. And with that path that you're talking about,
Yeah.
again, Mike Brashani and myself were told to shut those lights off. They can be scheduled, so I think going forward, maybe it was an oversight that they weren't on for the football games.
So you're talking about the fall, Joe, right? So, I mean,
Right.
coming into the spring sports, it's not really
Yeah, now it's not as much of an
not as
issue
much of
now
an
as
issue
it is
now,
during
but in the fall, yeah.
So we'll talk more about
Yep.
it. All right. Anything else?
No?
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
Hi, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
Thank you,
Take
great
care.
job.
Yep.
All right. Next agenda item we have is the Rave Mobile Safety Panic Button.
All right, so I think the beginning of the year, I know something had come up where Dr. McIntyre gave one of his updates about one of the safety procedures that we were putting into place, which was the Rave Panic Button app. I gave a quick handout. You don't have to read it now if you haven't had a chance, but at the beginning of the year, when I was going over some of the goals of our district and some of my goals, Dr. McIntyre and I were talking about just ensuring safety. And Chief O'Laughlin in town launched this initiative last year with the town of Milford with the Rave Panic Button. So I met with him early in the school year, talked about what it would take to initiate this, and he explained to me that this was an app on mobile devices where anyone, you know, he was talking to some townspeople in town buildings, and we were talking about staff, could download this app, and it would be an additional safety measure to do, to report in either not just real dangerous situations, also health issues or other times that you'd need responders, first responders to come. So we talked about launching this within the school. I brought all the information back to Dr. McIntyre, and around November we said, let's launch this and move it forward. And it wasn't just to turn on and it starts. So one of the things, I think this was back when we gave the update, that we were starting to collect information where if staff were interested to have this as part of their mobile device, we had a survey. They gave information on the survey about their mobile number, if they're CPR certified, and what school they were in, because it can be on in multiple schools. I took all of that data information and over February break worked with the Rave Panic Button company, and they have a live website that works through the town of Milford. Uploaded all staff that signed up and assigned them to all the different campuses. We launched it about a month ago, and then at that point some staff members realized they didn't sign up, or they didn't know what it was at first. I sent out more information, including this one of the handouts and multiple videos. At that point, the last month, some staff members have said, I was interested. The survey was still live. They put their information in. And as of this afternoon, everybody who was interested in having this information is loaded into the Milford School District campus safety procedures. And again, this is just an additional safety piece that we have. We still have all of our traditional safety teams at every school, 911 calls, but this is just an added measure. And being a principal for the past 11 years, any additional measures just gives that extra sense of safety within the school. Thankfully, we haven't had to use this yet, but I have worked with Milford Police, and we've done a few tests to ensure this is working. I worked with the Rave team themselves to ensure that this was working. And it was just something we wanted to launch to ensure additional level of security for our staff.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you,
Any
Matt.
questions for Matt?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So this is something that staff have downloaded onto their phone?
So if this is something they would choose to do. This is
Yeah.
not something you said this
Yeah.
has to be part of employment here. If they signed up for the app, their
Yeah.
phone number is logged into the Rave system. They would have to
Yeah.
go follow the instructions, download it onto their mobile device, and their number that they gave me through the survey is uploaded. And when they log on, it'll recognize that phone number that they gave me.
So is the directive that in an emergency, would the first choice always be to call 911? And
Yeah.
this would be something that you would use if that wasn't a viable option?
Correct.
or-
There's no directive involved
Okay.
with this.
Yeah.
Each school has their safety procedures
Right.
that they practice, they work
Yeah.
through, have safety teams that is part of
Yeah.
being, the employment of each schools. This is an addition to that.
Yeah.
If they need it, because this is also for medical first responders and many other.
And this dials right into the 911 system.
This
as
dials
well.
right into 911.
Okay, so then my next question was, so if what's the safety on it? So if someone's child has their phone, how do you prevent a child from clicking the button and calling 911?
So we've worked out some of those issues,
Okay.
and so has the company.
Okay.
Because there's been some false positives
Yep.
over the last couple of years
Yeah.
across the country
Yeah.
where this has been used.
Okay.
Mhm. And when you mean child, like the student in their class or their
No, I more
child at
mean
home?
like your teacher and you have this on your phone and your kid's playing on it and
Mhm.
all, but, 911, which is called, I don't know if there's protections built into that or how that gets
Well,
prevented.
the protections is to have students using the other devices, not the teacher's device to do work.
No, but I'm
or-
thinking like if a teacher has this at home.
Oh, at
You know how
home,
parents give their
okay.
phones to their kids and they play with them?
What would actually happen, just because we read through this, if it was at home,
Yeah.
because it's not on a Milford campus, they'd get a call back. Because
Okay,
each
okay.
phone number is connected to a campus, and when I say campus, it's just the language that's used here. So
Yeah.
if it was not on one of the campuses in Milford
Right.
public schools, it would
Okay.
recognize the geolocation and
Okay.
realized it's not at school,
Right.
call if it's an actual emergency, then they'd send somebody. But there is some
Okay.
fall safes for that.
Okay.
And when we were talking about it, it really fell in line to what we are really trying to do here in Milford with some of our devices and digital learning spaces. You heard Rob talk about that the infrastructure is moving forward, that we're, I think we either signed off or in the process of moving forward to have the summer work done for the high school and Memorial School, to have that move forward. And it's just, we were, like we said, we were at the event today with the Lieutenant Governor talking about STEM and all the great things, and people were coming up to us to say, we heard these things are happening in Milford, we heard about some of the digital learning initiatives, and it's just an exciting time to be part of the Milford Public Schools, and this fell in that line of ensuring people are safe as well as using the most recent technologies that we have.
Well, I agree. I think the more things we have that give people access to additional supports, because we can practice and plan as many scenarios as we want, and you never know what, you always hope there'll be no real scenario, but whatever it may be, if
Absolutely.
that's something that can help somebody get help more quickly, then I think it's great, so thank you.
And this, just to clarify, this provides us with really two things, and Matt, correct me if I'm wrong. But one is communication during an issue between
Mhm.
administrators who have access to the
Okay.
system. And the second thing it provides is the first responders,
Mhm.
almost like the 911 system at Woodland.
Yeah.
It gives you the exact location, or pretty close to the
Okay.
exact
Yep.
location of
Okay.
where the issue is occurring.
That's great.
Yep, through the location, and administrators were set up as well, so if a teacher
Mhm.
needs, fire, or whatever that is,
Mhm.
the administrator of that building, as well as the crisis team, each administrator,
Mhm.
Designated other people that would receive that information, so it's also linked through their mobile devices as well.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you.
So does this replace the two-way radios that the principals
No.
were carrying?
No,
So it's
this
still-
is
still
just an
using those as
additional,
well?
they still have radios, we still
Sorry,
have the
Karen.
phones in the, sorry, we still have, right, we still have all of that. This was just really launched last year with Chief O'Loughlin in town of Milford, saw that it was really something that could be a success and an additional layer, and that's how my involvement became when Dr. McIntyre introduced me to that.
Okay, good.
Stupid question though. Is it a free download?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it's a
For you,
two-step.
99 cents.
For me, I was gonna say, well, you want adoption, right? So the last thing you want is a $5.99 download.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
and the
So-
funding of that,
Feel like
Chief
we'll pass.
O'Loughlin has funded any of the
Take our
four
chances in the
paid
emergency.
pieces of it.
Okay. All right, and just to clarify, I think you said it earlier, it's a two-step process, right? So it's downloading the application, but they also have to complete that survey to give you the numbers.
Right,
you
so
can
that I
report back.
upload their information into the Milford domain for their rave system.
Okay.
Yep.
And that just provides system security.
Yeah,
Yep.
One more question, Jen?
Yeah, so I'm glad that we're continuing the discussions about safety, and I know we had some earlier in the year, and the one thing, and I think this does offer teachers, or whoever it is in the buildings, options. If an emergency arises, then understand that you can't talk about the specifics of our safety planning in public, because that would kind of defeat the
Correct.
purpose. I hope that the way that it's being addressed in the schools is that people in emergency situations have options. So, at a recent function that I was at, there was a question asked. It was I think you were there, a very genuine question about what happens in a lockdown. And I just want to make sure that the philosophy is shared, that there are many different decisions that people can make in an emergency situation. And one might be a lockdown, or one might be an evacuation, or whatever. And I think that's a really hard model to move people away from, because we've been so entrenched in it's either a fire drill, or it's a lockdown, or it's a tornado drill, or whatever it might be. But that we're continuing to remind people about making good choices, or what seems like a smart choice. I know that's just not connected to this, but in my head, it all goes under the umbrella of safety and choices.
And I think that's the big piece of this, that there's nothing that we can plan for if it's
Right.
tragedy or if it's
Right.
a health situation. We want to ensure that our faculty feel safe by having multiple options in multiple arenas to
Right.
ensure the safety of the students and the safety of themselves as well
Right.
as the surroundings.
Right.
And before I cut out, I did want to introduce Kevin Cullen. He is our new network manager. If you did not know, Jonathan Capice did leave, and we did a full interview process. And Kevin comes to us through the Dover Public School System. He worked there as a technician the last 4 years, and Bellingham School System, which he was there for 3 years, so comes with over 7 years school experience. So I just want to have a chance to introduce Kevin to everybody. He started Tuesday, which was also the first day of MCAS, which has been going fabulous, by the way. We launched Tuesday with a full 8th grade and 5th grade MCAS assessment. Wednesday was the 8th grade and 4th grade, and today was 3rd grade. We've had a few little issues that we worked out, but for the most part, the last 3 days have been very smooth and seamless. Kids love it. I can't wait for them to come in after and share how they've been able to take the assessments in the way they are used to using technology, and it's been a big bonus. So that's how we started. Kevin threw him right in first day. Here we go, MCAS, let's go. And he, not only the first day, helped us launch and solve some issues for the 2 weeks that he gave notice in Dover before he started here, was in contact with me and a lot of the systems that we use, either through Ockers and some of the work that they do, or E+ to get information on phone systems that we've used in the past. So I'm really, Jonathan was wonderful during his time here and helping me launch, and now I'm excited to have Kevin continue that, and it brought some of his own ideas for the last 7 years working in public schools.
Good.
Welcome, Kevin.
Welcome to the team, Kevin. We're going to keep you pretty busy if all goes according to plan. So.
Sounds like it. Looking forward to it.
And the early feedback on Kevin has been overwhelmingly positive too, across the district, so that's been great.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, if I could, Joe, I'd just like to say welcome aboard, and if Matt has confidence in you, I certainly do. So looking forward to you getting some good work done.
Thank you. Thanks. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you. Thank you.
Have a nice night.
You too.
Yeah.
All right, Carrie. Next agenda item is the NEASC Decennial Report.
Wake up.
Make an exit, baby. Make an exit.
Did you get that, Rob?
Edit that out later.
All right, well, thank you so much for having me here tonight. I'm happy to be here and to present our NEASC Decennial Report. It was a very, it's a very long process going through the NEASC accreditation. We spent 2 years preparing as a school community for the visit that we had last April. And I have to to commend our faculty and staff, because it's 2 years of all members of our faculty and staff were on a committee. And so once every 7 days, once a cycle, the teams met to ensure that we met the standards and the indicators that are contained in the NEASC accreditation process. So it's a very involved process. I believe you have the report in front of you. So what I'd like to do is take you through a little history, and then we'll move into the visit. We'll move into our recommendations and accommodations, and then our 2 and 5 year plans, and then our 21st century learning expectations and how they're living in our school community. So we had 17 educators come and visit us last year, April 3rd through April 6th. And they came in, they were from Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and Rhode Island. They came in and they did an assessment of our school based on interviews with the students, with the parents, with community members, with many of you, maybe our school committee members, our central administration. They did multiple observations in the classrooms in all disciplines, spent 4 days looking at student work, looking at the evidence that we provided for the 7 standards, and it was a very involved process for them as well. They would come in very early, around 7 in the morning, and they'd work straight through until about 3 or 4, and then they'd go back. They stayed at the DoubleTree, and they would work until 11 p.m. So it's being on a NEASC accreditation committee is a great deal of work. So they came, they looked at the 7 standards that you see in front of you. Under these 7 standards, there are multiple indicators. So for example, standard 4 is assessment of and for student learning, and that has 11 indicators under it that we had to provide evidence of meeting every one of those indicators. Standard 5 is school culture and leadership. That has 12 indicators. So our teams of teachers were all on one of these 7 committees and worked, as I said, once in a cycle to gather evidence from all courses, all levels, advanced placement, honors, college prep, from all of our vocational programs, for all of our student support programs. So we ended up with these massive filing cabinets just full of evidence for the committee to review in order to make a determination about our accreditation and how we met the standards and indicators. We received 48 commendations from NEASC and 28 recommendations. That's extraordinary. Anyone who has been through a NEASC process knows that sometimes it's the opposite, where you might have 28 recommendations, 28 accommodations and 48 recommendations. So in talking with our liaison, Kathleen Montague, who we've worked very closely with from NEASC, she emphasized repeatedly how well Milford High School has done in the accreditation process, and that's a great tribute to our students and to our staff for the great work that they are doing, and that was observed by these 17 visitors. The accommodations, there was a theme around accommodations, a theme around a very safe, supportive, and caring school community. There's a lot of themes. The document's 95 pages, so this culled out the essence of it. But repeatedly throughout the report, there's a lot of accommodations for school spirit, school culture, respect, the tremendously positive energy that's in the building. And that has to be probably the accommodation that I am most proud of, because that speaks straight to our students and to our staff and to our school community as a whole. They talked a lot about the caring and supportive learning environment that the students come into every single day, and they saw that over and over in their visit. So that's just extraordinary, and I'm very proud of all of our students and staff and our parents and our whole school community for helping us grow that.
Carrie, if I could just stop you for a second, because to me, that's a key factor that all of the school committee members, I think we commonly share on the street, is every so often Milford High School, it's not a safe environment. You know, we've had students come before us a couple of times and talk about how they feel safety or not, but yet here's the number one accommodation is a safe, caring, and supportive cultures for students and staff. And I think it's important the general public knows that an outside group of educators came in and made a accommodation that our school is very safe.
Right, absolutely, and that's something that we all know because we live that every single day in the school community. We know how welcoming the school is and how safe it is and how engaged the students are. But to have others come and experience that is, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. It's wonderfully validating to have people who know nothing about Milford High School to come in and say, wow, we spent 4 days there, and that is a safe, happy, engaging community for students to learn in. So it was great.
Thank you.
And I think there was a lot around the personalization as well. They noticed quite a bit the amount of time that the faculty and staff spend before and after school, long beyond the contractual day, working with kids. So they stayed in the building long after the 2:20 dismissal, and they saw all of this going on in classrooms after school as well. So they were they could see how dedicated the faculty and staff are to the students and how responsive the students are to that as well, because we have so many students in the building long after the school day. So that was terrific. Going to the next slide, they were very happy to see our core values for student learning and our 21st century learning expectations alive in the classrooms. And later in this presentation, I have some examples of that for you. But there was a theme around they could see how not only we defined our core values and 21st century learning expectations, but they were living in the classrooms every day, and they saw that in many different ways. They saw it through our hospitality program. They learned about the banking and business pathway. It wasn't here at the time, but they heard a lot about what was going to happen. Very impressed with the business partnerships in the community, with Milford Federal, with our plans to reach out to the Waters Corporation and EMC. They heard about students telling them about their internships with Special Olympics, working over at Blair House, work study programs, and so forth. So that was received very favorably. Guidance and support services, counseling services, our adjustment counselors, There's a lot of praise for the individual attention that students receive from our student support services. They met with the team of speech pathologists and psychologists, our pathways educators, guidance counselors and adjustment counselors, and they walked away from that with very strong sense of student needs under social emotional learning are being met consistently and regularly in a variety of different methods. They were very impressed to see that our alternative program, Pathways, is in the building. In many communities, it is not. It's a separate program outside of the school. They thought the inclusiveness of transitions and pathways was a great strength of the school community as well. So we're very, very happy about that. Communication with our families. They liked seeing our Twitter account, and they liked seeing Blackboard Connect. A lot of the different, they saw some of the articles that we had in the Town Crier. Very pleased to see the efforts made to communicate with our families through multiple means. The peer-to-peer programs were another strength. Because we have multiple. We have our peer mentoring program that run the monthly supports in the freshman homerooms, the summer peer mentoring freshman orientation program, the peer mediation program that helps resolve conflicts between students before they erupt into anything. The peer tutoring program, where the seniors and juniors are working side by side with teachers as teaching assistants in classrooms, very much of a college model, and our Best Buddies program. They were here at a time where we had some Best Buddies events, and they were very impressed with the membership of our Best Buddies program and the activities and the dances and the Sweetheart pageant that we have. Actually, that's tomorrow night. So they were very impressed to see that. Sophomore seminar was a strength because they observed financial literacy. They observed digital citizenship when they went into the sophomore seminar programs. So they were very pleased to see that as well. And our our new programs around vocational pathways. So in the expansion of that and the plans to look at things like video production, working with Milford TV and WMRC, the expansion also of our English learner program and how we are serving the needs of our EL students. So a lot of accommodations there. We have for NEASC with the process, there's always a 2-year progress report that will be due in February 2019, and they've made recommendations for us to address, and we will need to report out to them in terms of how we have addressed the recommendations that they've made to us. So we will be looking at our rubrics. We have rubrics for all of our assessments. They're looking for us to define them, to revise and define them with more specifics around high levels of achievement. So that's something that we're looking at again. We have a common format for our curriculum maps because we had to create that in order to be successful in this process. So we have our curriculum maps done. The next step we need to go into is our unit designs for each of our units, for each of our courses, where we are including essential questions and skills, our 21st century learning expectations, and our standards under WIDA, technology, and social emotional learning. So that will be a big focus of our professional learning over the next couple of years. There was quite a theme in the report about time, providing the time to the teachers to get the work done that we need to get done in terms of our curriculum, our understanding by design units, curriculum mapping, looking at rubrics, more time for observation and evaluation, particularly around those rich conversations that take a lot of time to have with a very large faculty that we have, and there's only 3 people doing observations and evaluations, or evaluations. So it's time, and it's thinking about how can we find more time in our schedule and in our day within the confines of the contract and so forth. So as a district, we're always talking about time and how we can better find some more time. So we'll continue to look at that. And the library and information services, looking to see, there was a lot of kudos around the English and history involvement with library and media services. They go to the library quite a bit to do research. What we see in the report is the need to expand library and media services across more disciplines. One of the obstacles was releasing Mr. Molinari from the library to go into classrooms. And another issue was technology. Needing to improve our technology services for our students at the high school. That was it's a recommendation to provide the funding and support and training and so forth for technology, but it was also accommodation because we have a plan. So it was a win-win both ways. So. Our special progress report in December of 2007, talking about formative assessment to inform instruction, talking about in the moment, how are we gauging student learning, exit tickets at the end of a lesson, what worked, what didn't work, what do we need to review tomorrow, and then shifting the next day's lesson to ensure that no students are being left behind. So that will be a focus for our special progress report. Our understanding by design, again, and this is a district initiative right now, so we'll continue to work on our unit development. Sufficient personnel for ongoing collaborative development. It's a little bit more detailed in here. What NEASC is looking for is for us to have more time across disciplines. High schools are departmentalized, and that's how it is in all high schools. But to find some time to put the art teachers with the history teachers and the math teachers with the English teachers, and just more time for conversations about how can we develop some cross-disciplinary lessons. And that's something I'm very interested in, the teacher's very interested in, so we'll spend time on that as well. And more time for to have professional development for our teachers. So we'll address that in our December report. Our 21st century learning expectations and how they're reflected and under technology. And I don't know if you've had a chance to look at any of these, but I have some. I used Google Slides for the first time. It's fascinating. So if you click into it, it says Google Forms. What you'll see is this is a survey that I sent out to the 8th grade parents, inviting them beyond our marketing campaign. So we had our 3-step marketing campaign. But this is kind of would you like a personal conversation, a personal tour of the school? Would you like to come in? So we sent this Google form out, another new initiative this year. I learned a lot about Google Drive this year. So we sent out the Google form and to our 8th grade parents to invite them in. I have some images of our technology in Mr. Pinto's class and Mr. Can you link into all of these through the? Okay, great. So when NEASC was here, they, again, going back to what I said earlier, they were very pleased to see a lot of our technology, our active learning, critical thinking, respect, problem solving, seeing it alive in the classroom. So you have a lot of images here. You can see the Step Up Day under the technology slide when the 8th grade students were here and they were in the video production studio. The bank branch in the lower right-hand corner that will be installed this summer. The robots battling down in the corner there. Under communication, I don't know if anyone has noticed, but under the MHS daily announcements, if you click in there, we have gone live on YouTube, and we have our students doing our announcements on live every day, and it's being posted to YouTube. We also have, you can see the different links there to Miss Brown's English class, our public relations, for our newsletters that we're sending out, a video we did for the Most Spirited High School that we submitted, and postings for Blackboard Connect. We have images of our Spanish Honor Society, students meeting with college reps, one of our, Mr. Rualis, using technology in one of his Spanish classes. Under problem solving, we have some computer technology with Mr. Nelson. We have a history lesson with Mr. Vandekyle. Rosie the Riveter is Mr. Vandekyle's class. He, if you want to click into that, you'll see the entire class singing, the world history class singing Rosie the Riveter, which was phenomenal. It was they did a great job with it, spent a lot of time on it, and we're very proud of it and invited me to the class to see it. Science Olympiad, a class with Mrs. Hunter. Active learning, we have our hospitality and tourism management program. I put a link in there for when Coach Boucher and I did the MPS talks under educational athletics and activities. Our vocational program, one of our chemistry classes, our Milford High School promotional video. You can see some images of the college fair, field trip that our students took, trip to Johnson and Wales University in the lower left-hand corner. Our EL students doing performance on the stage in the lower right-hand corner, as well as our Science Olympiad. To critical thinking, we have a link to Mr. Edwards' math class. We have our growth mindset video that we did with our students and staff. Robotics lesson with Mr. Johnson, and a history exit ticket that Mr. Santamena uses with his students to assess student learning at the end of a lesson. Under respect, we have our Spread the Word to End the Word assembly, as well as our video that just from last week that we did. We have our MHS Global Citizenship Program and Girl Rising that we had last night, which was an extraordinary event, as was mentioned earlier. We have a picture of the junior prom that was held last Friday night, and we have a Spanish lesson, Miss Franson. And we have some of our fundraising activities from our fall parent-teacher conference night. As well as we have our one of our young men who's a Boy Scout. When we had one of our Spirit Days, we had a couple of our young men wear their Boy Scout uniforms, which we were very proud of. Our students saying the pledge. And that is my presentation on our decennial visit. So thank you for listening. It was a great experience. You learned so much about your school, students, staff, our community, and to have others come in and see the excellence of our high school it's exceptional. I also will mention, in case you didn't hear, you may have heard by now, but we do have students in the class of 2017 going to Harvard, Princeton, and Yale. So we're very proud of them, as well as Holy Cross and Syracuse and Clemson and BU and Fairfield and countless other prestigious colleges. But we just got word last week that one of our students got into Princeton, so that's the talk of the school.
I also heard that the young student that's going to Harvard came to Milford in the second grade from another country.
Yes, and these are all of the achievements of these students are academic. So we do have student athletes who will be who are going out, but the two. The Harvard admission and the Princeton are strictly academic, solely academic. So, yes.
Well, thanks, Carrie. You obviously covered a lot of information there. I'm going to open it up because I'm sure that the committee has some questions. So, Joey?
Real quick, has the high school been through this before?
Every 10 years, there's a decennial
visit. Did we
visit.
do better this year than we did 10 years ago, or
we did outstanding this time. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was I didn't know.
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean
There's always a special progress report where they want to see the committee would like to see certain things 6 months out, and then a 2-year. But schools can be placed on warning, and all kinds of things can happen, and none of that's going to happen. So,
Jen?
I think what stands out to me is the recommendations are recommendations that I think could be made for any school, USA, any level, developing your curriculum. We need more time, working on rubrics. All of those things they're not problems with Milford High School. They're just general areas for growth and continual improvement for all schools. So if that was the kind of the summary of what they could find for improvement, and then you look at the commendations and beyond that, the points that you made at the end with all the links and all the amazing things that set Milford High School apart. When the athletes come into these meetings, and when I see you at the events with students, or even when you introduce the kids who come in and make the announcements here, what I think stands out about the school is the depth of knowledge that the staff has about the kids. And that shows up in the commendations in terms of a safe environment and social emotional well-being. So I think the commendations are so meaningful, and the recommendations, in my mind, are business as usual in any good educational setting. So
thank you.
I think it's fantastic.
Curriculum's always a work in progress, always
Right.
refining and revising and looking at data and thinking, oh, here's where we're doing well, and here's an area we want to spend a little bit more time on. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, congratulations as well. I mean, I couldn't be happier with this report. I know it's a lot of work that goes into this on your part, on part of the staff. and sometimes there can be some anxiety associated with these types of reports, but it's definitely a very healthy exercise to go through, and it's an opportunity to reflect on our practices, and it's an opportunity to validate the great work that's being done across the, within this school specifically. And then to Jen's point, they identified a few areas that for us to focus on, but as she mentioned, these areas could apply to just about any school district. And a couple things that stood out as we're going through the budget process now, but there's certainly a call out on a few of these items for additional funding and resources, right? So it's something that we need to take into consideration as we move forward with some budget discussions, as we move forward with planning over the next couple of years. So some of it we're addressing through the technology upgrades, and hopefully the Chromebook initiative as well. That should address one of the issues. The other one that they mentioned was that the personnel and resources to focus on supervisory or focus on evaluations. That one was kind of interesting because that's something I think we've talked about in the past. Do we have the resources and the manpower to really do an effective evaluation of the staff? It just seems like a lot to be put on a principal. So I'd be curious to hear what the plan is for that going forward once you guys start to develop that.
Right, so I think that one of the challenges is there's a lot going on all the time, and there's so many priorities, and you need to figure out a way to structure your time to get all that done. I know, our system right now is such that, we have 2 assistant principals and 1 principal, and there's, I have about 70 evaluations to do, and they have maybe 20, or because everyone's so busy that you try to shuffle it in a way that, everyone can manage what they're doing. In some schools, the CTLs of the department heads, they do observations or they do evaluations, and so there's different ways to do this. Our structure right now is such that the school administration does it, and that's fine, and we make it work, but there's always a better way, I think, to maybe do this work and do it in a way that is very meaningful and yields the results that you're hoping to find. So
Joe, if I may, maybe Carrie, I happened to be at the Woodland School that Saturday morning for the technology seminar, and you were actually doing a seminar on evaluation, showing teachers how they can put an app on their phone, so everybody's carrying their phone around, and you could be going down the hall, happen to peek in and say, geez, this looks like a good time, I can go in and take a couple of notes. And so just, through the use of technology, trying to be good with your time. It was pretty impressive, and the teachers really bought into it. You don't have the time to do a whole evaluation, but could you shoot in, get 10 minutes, keep it on your phone and the app, and move on.
And I have to give Carrie a lot of credit for that too, because we kind of proposed Google evaluation as a pilot, and she jumped all in at the high school, and it's gone.
She loves Google.
It's been phenomenal to have Google, and I have to thank Joseph too, because he was a tremendous help. But so with the to the phone, so once I figured out how to do the Google evaluation on the laptop, I thought, well, if you could do it on the laptop, you could do it on your phone. I had no idea how to do it, and then I just went into the App Store and downloaded the Google Drive, and there it was, and I opened it up, and all my folders were in there, and I thought, okay, well, I can do an evaluation, except I could not figure out why I couldn't type into one of the evaluation forms, but it was because I hadn't downloaded Sheets and Docs, and once I did that, I was like, oh my gosh. So if you're in a classroom, and as long as you have Wi-Fi, you can do an evaluation and an observation in the moment. So it's great.
Impressive.
So those are some of the creative ways that we're trying to come up with to be efficient and to do a great job with that. So
good. Thank you. Any other questions?
Can I just jump one
Yeah.
quick thing? I think, and Jen, have you been through the NIAS process?
No.
So,
Big smile. No, I have not.
a lot of districts will just do it at the high school level for the accreditation. And several years ago, Milford made the decision to go through the process as a district. So every one of our schools goes through this process. And I think comprehensive is an understatement. Your summary of this was, what, 38 pages?
Oh, this summary. This is
slides?
9.
Right.
This
your
is
summary
a
that you just presented
yes,
to the committee.
Yes. Yeah.
So how many
Trying to-
binders of information have gone back and forth? I just want kind of the public and the committee to understand kind
It's
of the
a
scope
mess.
of
I mean,
this work.
this is one tiny binder of the work that was done. I mean, there's 30, 40 binders, and there's filing cabinets just full of evidence
And there's
that
probably a
had to be.
faculty member every faculty member was touched by this in some way.
Every faculty member was on one of the committees of those 7 standards. And there was also, and I want to commend the steering committee, because Mr. Nick Molinari and Mr. who's the chairman of the union president, he and Mark McGilvray, who's an assistant principal, they were the co-chairs of the steering committee. Because the high school principal cannot be a co-chair. It needs to be a member of the faculty and an administrator. So, and then Mr. Dowd, who's an English teacher, Mr. Bayonne, the guidance director, Mr. Santamena, history curriculum team leader, Ms. Ferrara, who's a math teacher, and myself, we were the steering committee. And the steering committee, they did, that was a yeoman's amount of work, and I have to really give great praise to Mark and to Nick for the extraordinary leadership they had with the steering committee, and to Tim Dowd, who's our English teacher, because as an English teacher, he got charged with an awful lot of the wordsmithing and making our report that we had to submit to them the essence of excellence that represented what we were trying to convey as a school community, and he did a great job.
Great. Thank you.
And if I may, and if I could just take one more moment, because it's such a coincidence, but I wanted to share this with you. I was in here right before the committee meeting, making sure my Wi-Fi and everything was working okay, and I went into my email, and it was at 5:45 today, and I received this email from a student who graduated in the class of 2014, and if I may, could I share with you a couple of the things that she said? Yeah. So she's emailing me, and she gives me her name and telling me she was in the class of 2014, and now I'm senior at UMass. And so she said she's taking a class in restorative justice rather than retribution. And she goes on to say, going back to youth justice, I have learned in this class alone how many high schools in Massachusetts have officers roaming the hall, tackling students, giving immediate expulsions for ridiculous reasons, and so forth. And I've also learned that many of my peers who are in this class have witnessed such things. She goes on to say that although this is a little sporadic, I want to say thank you for making a community while I was in high school. Thank you for having teachers that care about every single student, whether it was mental or physical health. Thank you for making school safe. Thank you for making school feel safe and not needing to make it like a prison, which sometimes happens in some other school districts, and she names a few. Thank you for giving every student a chance. Lastly, thanking you for allowing me to be the only student in my class, for my professor to say that your high school is teaching and helping students the right way.
Wow.
Wow.
I know. So I just wanted to share that with you, because it was amazing, and it came in today, and I thought, well,
perfect timing.
perfect timing. So thank you.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's your evidence for the next
That's
decennial.
right. I'm going to say that email.
That's right. Print that out.
Thank you.
Thanks. Kevin, correct me if I'm wrong, but is Stacy preparing to go through that now?
They are.
Yes.
What year is that, Craig, that Stacy goes through? Are they 2 years out right now?
It's not next year, it's a year after.
Okay.
So, that's
Okay.
So
part of
18,
what they're doing
19
right now.
Okay.
is our next one up, and I think we're trying to align the elementaries.
Yeah, it's not going so.
Okay.
All right, let's
We'll get
move
back to you
on.
on that one.
Yeah, we'll move on. We have the report of the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I just wanted to review real quick the professional day that we just had this past Friday on the 31st. Just to review a couple things that went on in the schools. First, and Carrie said it was all through that report. Time, we just don't have enough time as a district to get some of the things done that we want to get done. So when we do have times like this, these half-a-days, there's a lot of people that are trying to get their hands on that time. So it's very important that principals prioritize, and sometimes we're all fighting for the same time and the same staff, but we have to work it out together. And we sat through, I think it was in January, and we just looked at the calendar and said, okay, these are the things that we need to do, and these are the times that we need them. So this past Friday, Shining Star, they sat together and they worked on their accreditation, so they have an accreditation coming up too. But part of that is they have to collect binders of evidence themselves. So teachers were sitting together and collecting evidence. That's how they spent their time. The Memorial and Brookside teachers were working on curriculum mapping for a good portion of the time, and then in the second half of the time, they had professional development sessions where the teachers could choose. That's something we've been doing. One of the different ones was on childhood trauma, and they had some of their counselors just talking about trauma and what it looks like and what to look for in the students and what you should expect when you have a child with trauma in your classroom. The Woodland teachers and the Stacy teachers spent the first half going over the MCAS procedures, which is a state mandate. They have to do it, but they had to learn how to do it on the computer, so it took a little bit longer than they wanted it to, but they had to do it. After that, we did some curriculum mapping. I gave a presentation actually at Woodland, and then they had a little bit of time to work on some of that curriculum mapping together. Stacy spent the rest of their time working on NEASC. Part of the process is they have to vote different things in, like a mission statement, goals, values, those types of things. So they had to vote on some things and then start writing and working on others. Milford High School, actually, they unpacked their NEASC accreditation. They started looking at curriculum mapping themselves and working with UBD. We had all the TAs and the teaching assistants and behavioral assistants with Dr. Joseph and Lucy Jenkins. They were working on social emotional piece. So they were all in the auditorium. I started with all of the clerical staff on the district, and also the security guards. We had Jen Narjanian talking to them about just how to communicate with families when they come into the building. Then we had the school resource officers talking to all of those people, again, to what Jen was saying, just working through different scenarios and what do I do in this scenario, what do I do in that scenario, how do I get in touch with police, just all those different things. Anything that they had started with a sheet and they wrote down all different questions and scenarios and they gave it to the police officers, but then they just kind of went back and forth and they spent a good 2 hours together. And it's something that we're continuing with Joe and John, and they're going from school to school, talking exactly about that with all of the staff. Next half a day, we actually have Officer Ticino coming in to work with all of the TAs and BAs about different scenarios, and then particularly he's going to train them on some first aid too. So that'll be good for them. And then our music department stayed in the buildings because of NEASC and because of the curriculum mapping that they were doing. Our nurses all got together and they were doing some training with Judy. And then Nick Molinari had all of the librarians, and they were working through some of their, they actually were at Woodland talking about how they could get more books into that library, because if you go there now, there is a lot of shelving and some of it seems bare, so they were trying to work that out together. So that was actually our last Friday. I don't know if anybody has questions about that.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
That's great.
The next thing that I want to talk about real quick is the development of a district homework philosophy, and it came up at a meeting earlier in the year. And we talked about it as a leadership team, and we sent out some surveys to just all the different faculties, actually. And truth be told, we are all over the place. So we're going to get a committee together of faculty and administration. We're just going to work on a district philosophy that seems to make sense, and basically just to make sure everybody's on the same page. These are our expectations in the K2 schools. This is 3-5. This is the middle school. I think we're going to leave high school alone. We all said that they're kind of on their own when it comes to homework. But we all kind of agree that by the time when we get to middle school, we do need to have some homework. It's just a matter of when and where and how we can do a better job making sure that it's, when you go from room to room, there's not a whole lot of difference in the expectations. So more to come on that.
Good. Any questions on that?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Craig.
You're welcome.
All right, Kathy, report of Assistant Superintendent for Business and Human Resources.
I have for the committee this evening 3 warrants for your approval. The first warrant is in the amount of $27,251.20.
Do I have a motion? Motion from Jim, seconded by Jen. All in favor?
Second warrant is in the amount of $15,380.47.
Do I have a motion? A motion from Joe, seconded by Mike. All in favor?
And the last warrant is in the amount of $213,842.30.
Do I have a motion? Motion from John, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
The committee has a list of the latest appointments from our previous meeting. I do have a course reimbursement request in the amount of $6,042, which does require a vote.
Motion from Joe, seconded by Jen. All in favor?
The committee also has 4 out-of-state field trip requests. The first one is for the high school hotel and hospitality kids to attend Mohegan Sun's hospitality hotel arena area. That is for April 28th. A grade 12 specifically, and it is out of state, therefore it does require a vote.
Okay. I have a motion from Mike, seconded by John. All in favor?
I also have a request for the kindergarten class of Brookside for 156 students to attend Roger Williams Zoo on May 9th or May 11th.
I have a motion from Jim, seconded by Jen. All in favor?
We also have the annual Washington, D.C. trip request from May 22nd to the 25th. We have 18 adults accompanying grade 8 to Washington, D.C. which requires a vote.
Okay. Do I have a motion? Motion from Jen, seconded by Joe. All in favor?
We also have a art history out of the country request for Florence, Italy during the summer from June 25th through July 9th. We have 10 or 12 students attending, and I believe it is 3 parents, chaperones, and 2 teachers.
All right. Motion from Joe, seconded by Jen. All in favor?
And that's all I have to
And just
say.
one quick question, they all
Sure.
have nursing. I
Yes,
always ask
they
that
do.
question.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, remember years ago. I don't forget.
All right. Thanks, Kathy. We don't have any subcommittee updates today. The policy meeting was canceled tonight. Any future agenda items?
Oh, sure.
No future agenda items. Any old business?
Joe, you brought up at one of the school committees to see if we can bring some of the state reps in. Do you want to add that to the agenda at some point, or?
Yeah, we'll be adding that as a future agenda
Okay.
item.
All right.
Do you want to bring the rep and the senator together the same night?
Yeah, we're going to talk
Okay.
about the foundation budget.
Okay.
All right, we don't have an executive session tonight, so do I have a motion for adjournment? Motion from Mike, seconded by Joey. All in favor? All right, thank you, everyone.
Nice job, Joe.